Catie and Erik do stuff.
Bread. I forgot the freaking scale, Katie. Got a nice kind of dirty towel.
It's clean. It's just stained because we recycle our dirty towels.
It's just stink. It's just stink. All right, so we're gonna make some motherfucking bread, Katie.
Okay, I'm
You
scared.
ready? How much can we swear in this? Is that fine?
I feel like it's our show.
Well, that's how much I'm gonna swear. So.
Okay, that's fine. Do we want to like move this stuff so we can? Okay.
No. All right, Katie. So I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna have you do stuff. Okay. We're gonna sync the. Use the second clap, future Eric. Cool. So what do we got here? We got some motherfucking. I gotta stop saying motherfucking. We got some.
You don't have to.
All right.
It's our cooking show.
That's true.
We can say fuck if we want. We'll do our fucking cooking show.
Yeah, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Take it back. We got holy flour. We got this obnoxiously and unnecessarily large bag of.
It was only had
flour.
at Costco.
Oh, Costco? Okay, sure. I'm surprised they sell it in anything less than a vat. We got some bowls. I got a water bowl. I got a water pitcher.
Getting that B-roll.
Getting that B-roll. And we got our stanky starter. Look how stanky this starter is. Smell this, Kitty. Take a whiff, Katie.
Okay, I have smelled it.
That's good.
Okay.
So this starter, about 2 hours ago, we mixed 20 grams of our previous starter. We mixed it with 100 grams of water and 100 grams of flour. So what we're doing is we're basically feeding the starter. We're giving it a new place to live with all sorts of new food and new bedrooms and new places to do bacteria yeasty stuff. And here is a SCOBY, which is a symbiotic community of bacteria and yeasts. Basically, the yeasts eat stuff that the bacteria can't eat and produce things that the bacteria like and vice versa. So it's sustainable. It's a nice little, makes you really wish that the real world worked that way. Right, Katie?
Yes.
Sees the means of production. So inside of this, those bacteria and yeasts and whatnot are going to produce acid and they're going to produce carbon dioxide, which is going to cause our bread to turn into bread and be risey and be nice.
It's true.
So the amount of this, by ratio of how much water and floury stuff we put in here, is going to determine how quickly stuff happens, basically. And given our schedule, we're going to do 20% is pretty standard. So everything is measured in baker's percentages. So rather than thinking of things as like a recipe for bread, you think of them in terms of percentages by weight of the amount of flour that you're using. So we're going to be making a 2-loaf batch, a 2-loaf mix.
We're going to make 2 loaves of bread?
Yes. The reason for that is because that means we can use 1,000 grams of flour total, or 1 kilo of flour. And that way it makes all of our other numbers really nice and easy. And so if I want 20% hydration, 20% water, I see you, we do 750 grams. If we want 20% of our starter, 200 grams. So it makes all your numbers really easy. Yes, Katie?
How do you know what amount you want to use? Like, is there like a set bread size?
Yeah, basically a loaf of bread, like a standard loaf of bread that you would see, uses about 500 grams of flour. Pretty standard. Some bakeries like Tartine in San Francisco, I think they do 1 kilo per loaf. So their loaves are just these big fuck off things. They're some of the best bread, some of the best bread in the world. Get the Tartine bread book. They're not sponsored, but it's a good book. Chad Robertson. I almost know him. I know a lot of people that know him. I've gotten this close to meeting him a million times. He's like one of the messiahs of bread.
Sorry.
So enough of that bullshit. So we're just gonna start mixing because I want to see you get your hands dirty and then go like this because you don't know what to do. I'm waiting for that. I'm really excited for that.
Okay.
So whenever you mix floury stuff, unless somebody who knows more than me or the recipe says something expressly otherwise, you want to mix your wet ingredients. You want to put in your wet ingredients into your mixing bowl first and then your flour. That way, as you mix, the flour will fall into the water and you won't end up with dry flour on the bottom. If you do flour first and then water afterwards and you mix, you're going to have to scrape the flour off the bottom and it's super duper obnoxious.
I just want you to know I have not messed up this shot. Like, it's a little messed up because you can see the little thing, but it's like not bad. I did not a bad job.
The little doodle doodle?
Yeah, the little doodle doodle. The little dabba dabba.
Well, you didn't mess it up, but I still fixed it.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our mixing bowl. We got a big old bowl here. And we're going to pop it on our little scalalo.
And then we're going to tear the scale.
And then we're going to tear the scale, Katie.
I was
tear
prepared.
The scale.
Don't.
If you don't know what tearing the scale is, basically, if you have a scale and you put something on it that weighs 1,524 grams, and you're going to add 100 to that, you can tear the scale with just the bowl on it, and that'll reset it back to 0. So it sets that as 0. So tearing the scale, always tear the scale. I messed up a million things because I forgot to tell the scale and my numbers were wrong. It sucks. So first thing we're going to do is add our water. So we're going to want this bread, we're going to do 75% hydration, which is pretty standard.
Okay.
Pretty standard. That used to be considered very high because higher hydration doughs are much more difficult to work with. But, you know, your boy's got experience, so don't worry about it.
How much experience would you say you have?
I don't know. It's because it's all over the place. Like the first time I mixed dough was like 8 years ago, but I wasn't mixing dough constantly for those 8 years. So the first time I learned to work with dough, I was 18. I was at like this pizza joint in California, and I wasn't mixing dough, but I was handling it every day. And so you get a feel for what a strong gluten structure feels like, what a weak gluten structure feels like, what cold dough feels like versus warm dough. So you sort of get those really fundamental, just like instincts. Then I started mixing dough like every day, like for my job, like 3 years ago, maybe a little more than that. And then I was mixing twice a week for like a year, sometimes more. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, so overall, I've been doing this for like, if you were to add up all of it, I've been doing this for like 4 years, but I started doing it like 8 years ago.
That's cool.
So there you go.
Okay.
So Catie, here's a little pop quiz for you. You ready to become a student? You ready to be a student?
Yeah.
Catie, with the camera right in front of the other shot? It's great. I love it. It's beautiful. Mwah, chef's kiss. If we're putting 1,000 grams of flour into this total, and we want 75% hydration or 75% water, how much water are we going to put into this?
750.
Fucking nailed it. Look at this. Look at this, Catie. Look at that. That's good, Catie. Perfect. So I have two things here.
Okay.
This is for pouring. This is for washing our hands.
Okay.
Normally, you could just use one big receptacle. Like in a professional kitchen, you would just have a big fuck-off pitcher with a big lid top thing.
Right.
But this was the only pitcher you had, so there you go.
This is how Owen Brown does it. He just has a camera on the table while he's shooting.
Yeah, well, last time we hooked it up to the chandelier. I don't think it's in the shop, but
was-
there's a chandelier right there. But I have an interview in an hour and a half, so we had to just kind of throw it together, which is good. I say this all the time on my channel, on our thing, and on the podcast. We have a podcast. Do things poorly. Do shitty versions of things. Just practice doing that. Because if you wait until you know you can do it perfectly, you're never gonna fucking do it because you're never gonna do it perfectly. But like before this,
a lot of water.
there's a decent amount of water. So like this morning, when we were talking about filming this video, I was like, today, let's just say we're gonna make a shitty version of this video. We're just gonna make a bad version of it. And that allows us to go, hey, it's gonna be, let's just do it anyways.
762.
That's fine. That's cool. That's cool.
You said 750.
I did say 750. So put the thing down.
Okay.
And take your hand, make it into a little scoop, and you can dippy-doop your hand down like a little dog tongue.
Oh, that was like perfect. You did it like exactly right.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna be really arrogant.
You just hit 750 like instantly. That was very impressive.
That's pretty good, right?
Okay.
Cool. So now we got 50 or 750 grams of water in there. So now what are we gonna do?
Put in flour.
Wrong. We're gonna tear the scale. There's gonna be a graphic right there when I say it. In post, I'm gonna put a big graphic in there that says "tear the scale." You know why, Catie? Because you got to tear your fucking scale. Great, you teared your scale.
Okay.
So now, let's do 70% white flour and 30% whole wheat flour. Because whole wheat adds a nice flavor, but I like really kind of like sweetery breads. And you can totally make sweet whole wheat, like straight whole wheat dough. You totally can. But with white flour, it's just a little easier because you don't have like weedy flavors hiding the sweetness. So you're going to go ahead and take whichever one of these you prefer to start with. And so if we're putting 1,000 grams total in, and we want 25% of that to be whole wheat and 75% of that to be white, how much whole wheat flour are we going to put in, Catie? I mean, put in the bowl, but how much are we going to put in, Catie?
So you have 1,000 grams. And you want how much of it? 30%?
25%.
25%.
25% of 1,000, Catie.
250?
That's fucking correct. She said she's bad at math.
Okay, so 250 grams. What if I put in too much? It's gonna fall in the water and then it'll get all messed up.
Well, so what I try to do when I'm weighing out different ingredients together. Well, what in a professional bakery, what you would do was do all of this the night before. You would have all of your flours and your salts and your other stuff weighed out the night before, so that when you get there in the morning at like fucking 3:30 in the morning, you can just grab all of it, toss it in, and mix it. So it's very rare that you would be mixing flour into the water receptacle. But for the sake of not having a bunch of shit on this table, and I just don't care that much, we're just going to do it right in. So to make it a little safer, I do what I call heaping the flour. So I pour it all into the same spot, so it makes like a little mountain.
Oh, okay.
And that way, if we over by 20, we can just take off the top of the mountain.
Okay, but I'm shooting for 250.
You're shooting. Yes.
Oh boy, this is like nerve-wracking.
250, I'm going to say is like a cup and a quarter. So.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
That's right, you got it. You got it. Keep going.
Ooh.
You can. You got it. This is fine. You got it. Come on, Catie. I'm getting bored. I'm really bored.
You're so mean. Okay.
Yeah!
Also, that's my ginger ale.
Yeah, we're gonna do like 5% ginger ale.
What if you would you have like spicy bread? I drooled.
Would you have spicy bread? No.
But
The carbonate from all the mixing and mashing, the carbonation would totally go out of it, and it would effectively just be flavored water.
So what am I doing? I'm putting.
$7.50.
Okay. Oh my god, this is awful.
Just move the bag of flour.
It's really heavy.
This is off to a roaring good start.
You know what? You said make the shitty version. We're making the shitty version.
That's true. See, there you go. I'm not like, oh, let's take that over again. I don't care. We're
Okay,
making a
ready?
shitty version. Yes.
So that's like 70. So I need like 10 of those. 4, 5, 6.
Katie, are you done?
No. 7, 8. I'm really close. I'm really close to being done.
I'm totally gonna Gordon Ramsay this.
I'm Gordon
You get
Ramsay.
2 slices of bread and put them on your ears.
Did Gordon Ramsay put anything on anybody's ears?
Yeah, he puts he put 2 slices of bread on someone's ears like this, and then he said, "What are you?" And he says, "You're an idiot sandwich." That's like a whole thing now. People want him to say that all the time, which I feel bad. Could you imagine having your whole brand just being a dick, and people just like want you to say the worst things you've ever said? He's probably a really nice guy.
I've heard he's really nice to kids.
Oh, he's great with kids. Yeah, when you watch like
Yeah.
whatever his show is, but with kids.
Yeah.
It's so nice. I saw there's a GIF online of on the web of him. There's like a girl and she's crying over her bowl, and he comes up and he like gets really cool. He's like, "What's wrong? It's okay." And she goes, "It's too salty." And he goes, "Okay, here," and he helps her fix it. And he's like whisking it, and he says, "You know, my daughters, they cook in the kitchen, and sometimes they cry in the kitchen. But I have to say, all their tears combined still isn't as salty as this fucking shit right here." It's the funniest thing. All right, I'm removing this massive bag of flour. Hi, everybody.
Can we be done with the scale, or do we need it to measure the urn yeast?
Yes, we do, Katie. In fact, now that I think of it, it's better to weigh this directly into the water. But hey, you know, we're doing a shitty version of it, so it's fine. So we want 20% urn yeast. Urn yeast is the name of our starter. The importance of being urn yeast. Cool, so now you're gonna make this, but if you touch this with your dry hands, it's gonna stick to your hands. So you're gonna wet your hands, nice, really wet, like stick your whole bad boy in there. Then you're gonna take your non-dominant hand and hold this.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so when you said, so am I
Hold
doing
it better.
What is wrong with the way I'm holding it?
You wanna fucking hold it. Hold it. You know, somebody comes by, they bump your elbow and you throw it everywhere. Hold it.
My thumb doesn't bend that way. I'm telling you. My hands are much smaller.
I don't care. I'm so far past this.
Okay.
So let's get a nice good shot. So see how it's airy? See how there's bubbles of stuff everywhere? Yeah. As you like move it, it reveals more bubbles. Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's good?
That's good. Because that means after when I fed it, there were no bubbles because I mixed it around and knocked all the gas out of it. It's going to be a decent amount. 193,
we're
Katie.
We're close.
Hey, you nailed it. All right. Always save this because we're going to use this to feed later so we can continue our starter. Starters last pretty much indefinitely as long as you keep feeding them. The oldest in the world are like hundreds of years old. It's pretty crazy.
Are they really hundreds of years old though? Because like...
Yes. I mean, it's a major point of contention in the bread world. Some people are like, who fucking cares? Because like, for example, I brought this starter, urn yeast, from California. And so it has Lactobacillus sanfranciscus in it and like a bunch of other fucking strains of yeast. Fact check, and we're back. But when I bring it to Georgia, it's going to be populated with all the yeasts and stuff that live in Georgia. So when you bring a starter from one place to another, it gets populated with the local strains of bacteria and yeast. And so the starter from hundreds of years ago, it's been moved around, the weather has changed and shit. I mean, it's still fascinating that it's the original thing, but yes, Katie?
Has anybody ever made a starter and then taken it to every continent and opened up the container and then you would have like fucking...
That's really cool. I imagine, like, statistically speaking, that must have happened at some point. But the thing is that the reason the symbiotic community of bacteria and yeast is stable is that basically when you first start it, like, goes to war. Basically, you can think of there as being a bunch of different bacteria and a bunch of different living stuff in there.
Yeah.
And what you do is you facilitate the winning of the bacteria that you like. All fermentation is that way.
Right.
You want to facilitate the conditions that favor the bacteria that you like and don't favor the ones that you don't like.
Okay.
It's fucking brilliant, frankly. I mean, before refrigeration, before all that, and like Tudor era and stuff like that, they didn't know this literally because they didn't know about bacteria, but they knew that basically if you leave food out, it's going to go bad. It's gonna grow what we now know to be growing bacteria. So they realized, well, we can't stop it from happening. Like, we can't stop bacteria from growing, but what if we made bacteria that's good to grow? What if we strengthen the bacteria that we can eat that's good for us so much that it defeats all the bacteria that's bad? Of course, they didn't literally know that to be true, which is why it's fucking fascinating that they figured it out.
Well,
but that's what fermentation is. That's why it preserves food so well. It's because it's not stopping bacteria from happening. That's going to happen if it's not refrigerated or frozen.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to happen if it's refrigerated anyway, just much more slowly. That's not going to happen if it's not frozen. You just build up like an army of good bacteria that prevent the other ones.
Okay, so we have fans from all over the world. Harriet is from England.
Lovely handwriting, Harriet.
Yeah, Harriet's handwriting is fantastic. She lives in Durham. So what if like Harriet and then like I don't know, our friend Sam sent us each a starter, and then we mix those starters together.
They would basically...
Would you have like an intercontinental starter, or would just like one starter murder the other starter?
One starter would murder the other
like a West Side Story. But how would you know?
Exactly.
How would you know who would win?
Well, I mean, really, really well-practiced palates could probably tell you.
Really?
But you can also measure it. I mean, you can take swabs of like a table and figure out what bacteria are growing on it by putting it in a petri dish and taking a culture. You're gonna mix this.
Okay.
But when I generally mix bread, I'll dip my hand into the water if I can, or just this water.
Okay.
Because you basically never want to have completely dry hands when you're touching dough. Basically, the beginning portion of a dough's like mixed life, you want to use wet lubricant to stop your hand from... Go ahead. You want to use wet lubricant to stop your hand from sticking to it until we start using flour, like when you use dusting flour. Right. So there's going to be a point where it's like...
Do I get to knead the dough?
Yeah. So dip your hand in that and just fucking go for it, dog.
Was I supposed to do both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what do I do? Just
So
scoopy?
you're basically... I think of it as like turning it. You're like taking the water and pulling it up. And
I'm taking the water and I'm pulling out. This bowl is not big enough, but that is fine.
Keep it going.
I'm going.
And then you can use your hands on the inside to like hold it and like turn the thing. Going. Wait.
Okay.
There you go. So now what you're going to do is you can use your hands to scrape around the outsides and just I'll hold the bowl.
I can. Okay.
And just go for it.
Okay. And my goal is like combining.
Yes, you want it to be one uniform thing.
Okay. So here's my question. So I've got all these goopy boys on my hand. Should I like do one of these?
Yeah.
To help me out?
No, thinking of it, I thought it'd be funny to watch it with dirty hands, but it is better to start with one hand.
You're butthead.
So now I'm going to take over because I feel like it. Let me know if this hurts.
It actually feels really good.
Doesn't it? So now you're going to take your hand and just put it in there and just...
Well, this is so much waste.
It's fine.
Okay.
And just squishy.
I'm squooshing. Okay.
Until there's pretty much nothing on it. Then you're going to use the bench scraper to scrape off your other hand.
Okay.
And then once both hands are just wet with not a bunch of stuff on it, then you use it to dry.
Okay.
That's how you don't get flour all over your station.
I fucked up.
No, I mean, yeah, everybody gets flour on the station, but you don't want like dough that's going to harden and like be all shitty, you know. So while you're doing that, I'm going to continue to knead this dough. Well, we're not technically kneading it right now. What we're doing right now is
mixing it still, right?
Yeah, what we're doing right now is called incorporating.
What is the benefit of doing it with your hands as opposed to like getting like a sweet, spatula?
I mean, virtually nothing. Old school people will be like, oh, but basically the way that we learned to do this, the way that humans learned to do this was entirely by hand. So all the tendencies that we know how bread acts is based on this system of doing it by hand. So it's more predictable. It's more measurable. So
really? It's more measurable to do it with your hands than it is to do it with like a spatula?
A skilled baker, yes. Because a skilled baker knows exactly what's going on with their hand, they know exactly what they're doing, and they can feel it every single step of the way. Whereas if you put it with a dough hook and a mixer, you can measure time, you can measure it up, but it can do things like crawl up the hook. So like as the gluten gets stronger and it mixes around, it'll start to crawl up the hook, and then that part doesn't get mixed. You just have more control and you have more data basically. So when I mix dough, I'm gonna wet my dominant hand, use my non-dominant hand on the side of the bowl. I'm gonna take this bench scraper, just kind of make it a little less terrible in here.
I did my best.
You did a great job. I'm gonna start mashing it.
Ooh, you can mash? That's a legal move?
Right now, yes. Because right now we're just trying to get it to be one homogeneous thing. So initially, when I mix dough, I mix it enough so that I don't have to worry about splashing water.
Right.
Then I turn it like this to try to get all sides of it equally watery.
Sure.
And then once you can just fucking just go for it, then I start squeezing it.
Well, how do you know when it's combined?
You'll have basically see how this part, there's dry spots there. And also, just take note of what it looks like right now. See how there are all these pointy bits and all these, like, there are individual bits over there. So this dough doesn't have anything like it doesn't have any gluten structure built up in it. And so basically it's very weak. Okay. It's basically mush. So it's okay if we like break it, basically.
So we're not breaking down the gluten structure because like I know you can like over knead bread.
Yes. It would be very hard to do that by hand. So you would be very tired before that happened. Right now we're actually creating gluten. So gluten isn't a thing in dry flour. You have what's called glutenin and gliadin, and those combine to create gluten in the presence of water. So right now we're turning those glutenin and gliadin into...
So if I had like celiac disease,
yes,
I could just eat a fucking handful of flour and I'd be fine.
I mean, I wouldn't because your saliva has a lot of water in it.
Oh, okay.
So don't do that. Cool. So that's pretty good.
Quest is not doctors.
Right. Cool. So that's pretty good. So if you look up close, you can see there are all those little peaks on it. Mm. We call that a shaggy dough. It basically means that the gluten structure isn't holding. It's not one cohesive unit. You know, like you couldn't pick this up with one hand. It would sag. It would just come apart like this. It would just break. So now all this gluten has been created, and you can think of gluten as sort of like, what are those called? Buckyballs. They're those magnetic balls. They're
what the fuck are you talking about?
Balls. Well, there are these things called buckyballs. They're like the size of BBs. They're really small, but they're magnetic. And so you stick them together and they go...
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there are those like satisfying videos on the internet and you see about them. So imagine like a long string of those. That's kind of what gluten is. It's this long string of something that just is attracted to other strands of it. So if you have two long strands of buckyballs that have just been like created next to each other, they're going to go... And if you have like a big floor... Think of like the floor of a room covered in these big strings of buckyballs. If you move... Can I say balls in front of a 33-year-old woman without her laughing?
I'm sorry, I was picturing...
Jesus.
Like, because you could just put them in your butt and it'd be funny.
But so you can imagine a big wooden floor with those strands of buckyballs in it just sort of laid around. If you were to go up to it and take one and like move it, it would go and hit a bunch of other buckyballs. Until eventually they all sort of settled and none of them were near enough to other ones to connect to other buckyballs. So then once that happens, you move them again and they go until eventually they're in a place where none of them are near enough to connect to other buckyballs. And then you do it again and they go until eventually you just have one big fuck off mass of buckyballs. Gluten works in much the same way. So in here, there are a bunch of strands of those things that are attracted to each other on the outside. Just massive strands of proteins that are attracted to each other on the outside. And every time we move this, we're moving those strands closer to other strands, in contact with other strands. You okay?
Yeah.
Oh. Careful now, Brett.
I always forget that knob is there, but I like to put my foot up so I just clock my knee.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. So the gluten is buckyballs.
The gluten is buckyballs. Oh, so basically in here are a bunch of strands of those buckyball-like things. They're all near each other, and every time we move it, they move and some of them collide and they bond together. And they go,
So are we moving?
Yeah.
We're moving it. We're moving the buckyballs.
Well, so every time we've created a new fit and they start connecting to each other. But remember, if you have that big hardwood floor full of buckyballs and you move them, pushing them are going to cause the other ones to sort of agitate a little bit, which is going to move them closer to other buckyballs. And it's going to create this chain reaction of things sort of connecting to each other, even after you've stopped doing stuff to it. That's why you rest dough between the kneads. Because you've kneaded these doughs together, and as you're kneading it, you're creating new connections. But when you stop, it's still doing that. It's still, a bunch of it's changed, and so they're like, oh, and they're grabbing. You're creating what's called a gluten network. It's sort of, I think of like molecular steel wool, just a big fucking ha! And so once, after it's rested, about a half an hour, all of those different connections have sort of been made. It's starting to slow down, it's starting to whatever, and it starts to relax. You notice that it starts to ooze outward a little bit. It's less tight, and so you do it again, and that happens again. As you do this more and more, it stops becoming a big mushy mass of mush that just, see how it just breaks apart in my hand like this? I'm going to do that again later. We're going to do what's called the pain, we're going to do what's called the pain test, I think it's called, but it's supposed to do something called window painting, which you'll see later in the video. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is the gluten bonding happening at the molecular level?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so our kneading it starts the process, but it's just going to happen.
It would happen. So after we've mixed it now,
Right.
So like right now, that will already start to happen. Yes.
What if we just left it and never mixed it? Would ultimately bread come out?
No.
Okay.
What would happen is as it ferments, because remember we put a SCOBY in here.
Yeah.
As it ferments, what the whole point of this gluten structure, what it's supposed to do is trap the air, the gas bubbles that the bacteria and yeasts are creating into those little bubbles that are in bread.
Cool.
So if we weren't to do that, the gluten structure wouldn't be strong enough to contain those little tiny air bubbles that are coming out.
Oh,
and you would end up with just one big, massive fucking cavern in the middle of your bread. I think it's called roofing. So if you like my pastry chef, I won't say her. I'm not going to say her name. The pastry chef that works at the restaurant where I work, COVID. Sometimes when I take bread out of the oven for her, like if I'm doing her bake, she'll have me tap the top of them to check if any of them are roofed because they sound different. If you tap the top of them and they aren't, it makes a different sound than if they are. If they are, it's like this. Well, it also compresses. So that's what would happen. So we want to create, basically, you can think of the gluten structure as creating like millions of little balloons, like little balloons that inflate. So if those balloons aren't strong enough, they'll pop and they'll just turn into one fucking massive balloon. If we let this ferment for too long and it creates a lot of CO2, those balloons will start to burst and it'll create a big cavern. So one of my bread mentors, you could call him, his name is Jaron. I'm going to call that. If any San Francisco bread people see this video, I doubt they will. You know who Jaron is. But he once told me everything is everything. It's like everything that goes wrong with bread could be for any reason. It could be because you fermented too long. It could be because the gluten structure was too weak. It could be because the gluten structure was too tight, like we needed it too much and it just started to break. Everything is everything. And I frankly apply that to like my own life a lot. Like not to, but bread is like it informs the way that I think about stuff. So when something is going wrong in my life, everything is everything. It could be any number of things. It could be something very obvious, or it could be a confluence of millions of tiny things.
That's like shockingly deep.
Dude, I fucking love bread. I fucking love it. It's like one of my favorite things.
So what do we do?
So now we've done that first initial thing. We've turned glutenin and gliadin into gluten. Those gluten strands are now next to each other and they're sort of linking up. So now that that's happening, it's going to be about a half an hour before everything calms down enough such that it would be beneficial for us to do another one. So we're going to cover this so it doesn't develop a skin on top of it, and we're going to come back in a half an hour and we're going to give it what's called a turn. Which is very slightly different than a knead. I mean, knead and they're fundamentally doing the same thing. A turn is basically a very gentle knead, so you're not like beating the hell out of it.
Cool show about the Revolutionary War that happens.
A turn or the turn?
It's called Turn.
Just called Turn.
Yeah,
That's
cool. I know a guy who was on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't remember.
Say their full name. Do you know their social security number? What's their blood type, Katie?
Let's go cover the dough.
All right, we'll see you soon. So we've got our covered thing. It's been like 30 minutes. Who cares?
It's not like as poofy as I thought it was going to be.
It's not very poofy, no. Well, you got to think. Remember that bacteria and yeast, they reproduce exponentially. So 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes. So it's like slow, and then it starts getting faster.
There's like a point. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So all those gluten-y things have been linking together, and now it's starting to slow down. They're starting to run. It's starting to relax. Mm-hmm. But you can see. Remember, we haven't moved this since the last time I did this.
Yeah.
But if you watch now, it has just a bit more stretchiness to it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not quite breaking immediately. It still breaks, and when I go like this, you can see it starts to... I'll do it in the front of this
window
camera.
pane.
It starts to get a little bit, and it starts to become a little see-through before it breaks. So gluten structure is building.
That's good.
So now what you're going to do, Katie, this is fun.
Okay.
So you're going to get your right hand all the way wet.
This one.
And I guess I'll do one to show you. So I'm going to get my dominant hand all the way wet.
Okay.
I'm going to stay fucking in frame reasonably.
You got it.
And I'm going to go from the other side of me. I'm going to pick under it. So I'm picking it up.
Okay.
Try not to you want to think of your hand as a mitten. So pretend you don't have fingers.
Okay.
So you're not going like this. You're keeping your hands nice and flat. Okay. You're going to get under it. If your hand needs more water, we can grab it. Under it. And you're going to pull it up a little bit and then flop it over itself. Okay. And then turn it 90 degrees and do the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
You wet your hand.
I'm getting my hand wet.
Okay, make sure okay, good. Well, I ate between takes and now my belly's all blur.
Alright, so you flipped one that way, so should I start right there?
Yeah, start right here.
Okay.
Turn.
Okay, cool. So this way?
Yeah, so you're gonna go in like this.
Okay.
And then like that.
Oh god. Okay. I'm already doing a very bad job.
Great.
Okay, like this.
Cool. And wet your hand again.
Okay.
Cool.
Wet it on every turn?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's like not as hard as I thought it was going to be.
No. Well, you want to really pull it up. You want to try to fold the thing in half every
Okay,
time.
okay. Oh, fuck. I'm like Ruth from Victorian Farm.
You look exactly like Ruth from Victorian Farms. You give it one more.
Okay.
So
One more all the way around, or is that it?
that's it.
Okay.
Cool. So now, also, if
It
you look,
feels so different.
it's so different, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't touch it from us. It's just been sitting there because on the molecular level, there's a bunch of shit going on.
Yeah.
So look, it's already. See how it's less shaggy? You saw some of
Yeah.
these from where your fingers were, but that's smoother.
Yeah.
That's smoother.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's becoming one like mass rather than just a big bowl of mush.
That's super cool.
It's fascinating, right? And to think that these techniques were developed way before we knew anything about what was actually going on. We just, through generations and generations of trial and error, we learned that that's how it works.
It's super cool. So what
Crazy,
are we doing
right? Now we're going to cover it again and come back in a half an hour.
now? Okay.
Did you go up for a high five?
No, it's fine.
Number 1 victory royale. Yeah, Fortnite about to get down. My friend just got down.
Oh, fuck!
He's fucking dead.
He's dead!
He's fucking bleeding on the ground, and I've been traumatized forever.
Let's pee on him! Last one to pee on is Mariah Neg!
Oh man, my friend just got down.
Nothing happens.
Yeah, it's much bigger,
Oh, okay.
for one. So now we're just going to give it another chance. Same thing as last time. Yeah, so here's your bowl. Nice
Is it
and
clean water?
No, that's fine. Flour.
So I'm going in, and then I'm...
So you're going under.
Okay.
And it's important to just sort of make sure, because you want to turn it at right angles. So that gluten structure that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Well, it was like 2 seconds for you. But it's basically, you can think of it as looking like a big thing of steel wool.
So like here, this way?
That's fine. Yeah, here. Yeah. So
Man.
you can think of it as turning it, getting all the way under it. I kind of give it a little shake, and then fold
Oh, I
it over
didn't give it
itself.
a little shake.
You do not have to do that.
But I don't want to do it the way
In
that
fact-
you do it. Because you're the expert.
I'm not the expert. But well, it's, so you're grabbing sort of like half of it,
Shake.
and then doing that, yeah.
Okay. And I go...
That looks great. See, feel how smooth it is now?
Yeah, it feels a lot different,
It feels
actually.
so smooth.
Shake.
So you don't want to do it too much. So see that that's all gluten tearing.
Oh no, I brought it to
It's okay,
What
that's
happens when
fine.
you tear the gluten?
Nothing much. It's just nothing. I mean, like in a perfect
Should I
world.
do another one?
No, that's fine. It's very subtle.
Okay.
So now you can see. Let's do another one. So for one, look at this. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
So it's still not where we want it yet. So it still tears. But look, see, it's getting
better.
translucent.
Yeah.
So that's called painting. So that's how you test to see. You take a little piece of it, and you stick it in. Want to get in and show you?
Right there. Perfect.
Nice.
Ooh, it's like all focused and everything.
And you pull it, and you want to be able to get a really thin layer without it tearing, so you can see through it, and it's still tearing.
It's tearing.
So it's not quite where we want it.
Okay.
But that's sort of like the
So
default test.
Is that an ample enough turn?
Yeah, that's fine. It's very
Okay.
subtle. Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. Well, what you can also do. So that's like the expert method.
Okay.
But it's also just kind of fun, especially if you're short on time, to just like give it a couple more turns, because I like it and it doesn't really matter that much. Give it one of those,
Okay.
and then you can also, if you feel so inclined, turn it over,
Whoa.
and then you can see my fingerprints there. That's not great, but then it looks kind of nice. So we're gonna just see how it's one thing
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. It's very.
It's not
much
mushy mush.
smoother.
Exactly. It's super smooth. Like you can move the entire thing at once.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gluten structure getting stronger.
How can I trust you?
I don't fucking care. So you remember how in the beginning we were using wet lubricants when we had to like wet our hands? God damn it. And
Lubricants.
we would wet our hands so it doesn't so it's slippery.
Yes.
Now we're gonna transition from the wet lubricant phase to the dry lubricant phase. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna take our bench scraper, gonna dry it off a little bit.
I like it dry.
I like it nice and dry.
Remember that
I
classic
saw that video. Yeah.
classic video?
How much teeth do you want? Rambiggity bambity.
That should be your cool like Gordon Ramsay catchphrase.
Rambity bambity, time to make some bread. Okay.
Dumbest thing you've ever said.
Okay, so here we go. So we
Okay.
got our flour, and we're gonna do a little dough. We're gonna
Is
do
my
a little.
flour too fine for you?
Yes.
Really?
It's fine.
Is there such a thing?
It's fine.
I have so many questions.
Yeah. There's all different kinds of fineness of flour. Yeah.
Oh, what's the ideal fineness of flour?
Depends what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
And even after that, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. I like when people admit that they don't know all the answers. Okay.
So to do a cool flour toss, we're going to take flour in our hand and just hold it with all our fingers.
Okay.
And we're going to keep them relatively loose. So it's basically just the weight of my fingers holding the flour.
Okay.
And then from far away, we're going to snap our finger forward
Okay.
and just let it fly out. But it's so fine it clumps together. But little flour boy, little flour toss.
What is the point of that?
It's dry lubricant now. So now we can touch it without it sticking, but because it's
Oh, I see.
slippery dippery.
Oh, interesting.
So then we're gonna flour our table.
Okay.
We're gonna take this
Hold on, I'm moving the camera. Pow!
and we're gonna flop it out.
Oh, is this where we're gonna make like the actual loaves?
Yes, Katie.
So
yes.
exciting.
Cool. So now we've got this your dough on the table. It's a very wet dough, which just means it's very hydrated.
Is that good or bad?
No, that's exactly what we intend.
Oh.
And all flour is. I mean, it's easy to forget that flour is a plant, and like you can't grow two plants exactly the same way because they're fucking plants. So keeping consistent flour is extremely difficult. And so
even if I buy like the same flour brand all the time, it's
going
not
to be
like
just
a guarantee.
it's not going to guarantee that it's the same.
Is it like really frustrating as a baker?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like I'll go in. There are what are called lap members in. So there's in California the big one is called Central Milling, and they mill all sorts of flours. They're some of the best in the business. And on each bag of flour, there's a big number written on the bottom, like spray painted on sort of like a stencil, and that's the lot number, which is you can roughly think of as like a batch. Like they harvest a bunch of wheat, and that's the lot number. And they mill it and do all the stuff. What?
Catie and Erik do stuff. We should go to a flour mill.
Oh, dude, totally. I know people. We can go to California. Do some sick ass shit. Anyways, so now we're going to divide this into roughly two equal parts.
Should we weigh it or just eyeball it?
Nah, who cares?
Okay.
Oh, we actually have a metal bench scraper. Okay.
Okay. Remember when I was like, I'm going to buy this, and you were like, we don't need that.
That's exactly the opposite of what This lady, Katie. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know where to put stuff. This is our first YouTube video, so we're... Okay. So from now, when we pick this up, it's important to do it all in one shakunk. So if I pick this up, I'm going to go under it like that.
Okay.
But
it's still really sticky. What do we do?
Let's keep kind of flouring it. Make sure you know...
But what if you put too much flour in it and then it messes up the dough?
It doesn't. So here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
You're going to get a nice shot of this.
Okay.
And all the bread people on the internet are going to tell me
how wrong you are.
How wrong I am about all
go
this.
this way with it so they can see both at the same time.
Sure.
There we go.
Oh, that's nice.
That's not bad.
All right,
it's only like in my face.
So I'm going to do this first.
Okay.
And then you're gonna go after me.
Okay.
So we're gonna think of this side as being the top.
Okay, that's the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we had more time, I would say we'd do a pre-shape, which is basically doing what I just did.
Okay.
Creating like a nice little thing and then letting it chill as this position. But we don't have time, so we'll fuck it.
Okay.
All right. So this is the top. This is the top. So,
this is the top.
Yes.
Okay.
No, this surface. Is
that's the
top
top,
surface, yeah.
like of the loaf.
Exactly.
Got you. Also, is that what my hands look like? Ew. I have like weird, gross purple fingers. Ew.
Fascinating. Okay, so all right. So this is called an envelope phone.
Okay.
You pick the whole thing up in one.
Okay.
Turn it over.
Turn it over.
Oh, that is so much flour.
That's what I was asking
That
about.
is what you're asking about. All right, never mind. That's the top. This is the bottom.
Okay.
So we're gonna take this.
Okay.
Up.
Up.
Over.
You're just literally making an envelope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh god, that's terrible. And then these to the center, and we're gonna do little stitches.
Okay. Oh, that's cute.
God, I'm so bad at this. And what you're doing here is creating tension on the top surface. Oh my god, see how it's all torn and shitty? Mm-hmm. It's hard.
Okay, can I try?
Cool. And then once that's the case,
okay,
you're going to take it and you're going to roll it onto itself.
Oh, it's pretty. That looks so nice.
Isn't that nice?
Okay, so I'm going to try the same thing. Okay, first I need a little bit more flour. Okay, so I'm going to flip it.
Don't flip it. The other side has a lot of flour.
Okay, so I'm going to take this and
Nope.
what?
You're going to take the bottom of it.
Oh, okay. You did the top thing first. Okay, I got it. Okay, so I'm gonna take I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna take it and go like this. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go like this. And I'm gonna take these little guys. I'm gonna go here and here. Gross. Looks like a sad turkey. That. Like that. And I'm gonna take it. And I'm gonna roll it. That. Aw. Why did mine do that?
No, it's fine.
Aw.
Oh, put it down. Oh my God. Jesus.
You didn't say not to pick it up.
Ugh. I didn't say to pick it up either. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do.
Instructions unclear. Dick stuck in ceiling fan.
Jesus.
Okay, but look at Eric's. Look at mine.
Okay.
Look at Eric's. Look at mine.
Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make yours look like mine. Don't worry. It's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Watch this.
Okay.
So I'm gonna flip it over.
Okay.
It's
Awesome.
okay. It's okay. I'm gonna move yours here, and I'm gonna see what I can do here.
Okay. I'm sorry I messed it up.
No, it's fine. So basically, I'm gonna try to. So I want it to stick to the table just a little bit in this
really?
context. In this context, yeah. So I want it to pull under itself.
Cool.
And there we go.
Okay, so what happens now?
I've,
Do like a cool slice across the top?
no, that's later, but yes, eventually we do that.
We're gonna get to?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be sweet.
I would just like to say that I didn't get to knead this bread nearly as much as I thought I was going
Nope.
to. ADHD kitchen. So what do we do next?
I need to find two. Oh. Do you have any other bowls that are this shape and size? I didn't check first. See if we have the stuff. Alright, so I found these two bowls in your kitchen, Katie. Can I use them?
Yes.
Great, I'm gonna.
What if I said no? What would you have done?
Okay.
Used them anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Cool. Now, I'm going to take our very clean rag.
It's just stained.
Do you have any clean rags on you?
There should be some in the drawer.
Yes!
Look at that. Brand fucking new. Spanky
Can I
clean.
cut one of these in half?
Sure.
Hashtag
They're
YOLO.
available at Target. Sponsor our podcast. Target.
We have a lot of this stuff at Target, including your shitty oven scale!
Okay, what do we do?
Cool. So now we're going to take these.
Okay. Should they be like wet?
No.
Okay.
We're done with the wet, stopping things from sticking by using wet stuff. Now we're going to stop things from sticking by using dry stuff.
Okay.
We're going to flop our little taw-taws on here.
Okay.
We're going to take our flour.
Okay.
And we're gonna just, liberally. If it sticks to this while it's running, that's a bit and a half. So you really want, it's best to use more flour.
How do you know when you've used enough?
That's fine. Just kind of.
Okay, the dire warnings that you gave me about what happens if we don't use enough contrasted to the it's fine. I have some questions. It's fine.
Okay, cool. I don't have answers. So we'll move on. So, alright, so now we're going to pick this up. In a professional bakery, we would wait 10 minutes after we did this, but we're not in a professional bakery. So we're going to pick this up. I'm putting one hand on one side of this, and I'm going under it and lift.
So that's gonna be the bottom?
Like this.
That was really good.
And then I'm moving over, and I'm placing it in the bowl. So that's face down. So that's going to be the bottom of the loaf. But see how there's no... It's nice. It means it's sealed nice and nice.
I'm really scared.
It's okay. So you're going to just put it up, and make sure this hand's really well floured.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
So the idea is you're going to flip it onto that hand,
Okay.
put the bench scraper down, hold it in both hands,
Okay.
and then place it.
I'm so scared. Okay. So go here.
Yep. Commit, Katie. Just do it. There you go. There you go. Nice. Yes, yes. Yes, Katie. Yes. Double high five. Gotta commit, baby. These look really good. I'm weirded out. These, our bowl to dough ratio is very strange. So I don't know what's gonna.
Mine's not as. Mine's got a little weirdo.
That's fine. Cool. So now we're gonna flour the shit at the bottom of this. So this is.
I'm gonna flour yours. Do your own job.
Oh yeah, flour it.
Flour my.
Oh, flour my boot. This is These are called boules, Katie.
Okay.
The shape of dough. So, like, you would now call these boules. Okay.
That relevant meme.
So now we're just gonna fold them over like this.
Okay.
And now we got little dough boys. Little dough.
Okay.
Little dough sleepy boys.
So what do we do now? We just wait?
Now we just wait.
How long do we wait?
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave these out for a while.
Okay.
This is where like a baker has a really intimate relationship with temperature. So like if I walk into a room, not to say that I'm like a master baker, but if I walk into a room and it's 1 degree cooler.
I've walked in on you masturbating before.
Watch your head, Katie. On that low-hanging fruit. Oh yeah, but if I walk into a room that's like 1 or 2 degrees cooler or hotter, like I kind of like notice. Anyways, so I'm gonna say about 2 hours.
Okay.
So if we were to bake these tomorrow morning, which we could do, or we could bake them tonight, we would leave these out. We would get them to be about 85% where we want them to, and then we put them in the fridge.
Rising?
Yes.
See.
And then we would put them in the fridge because the reason fridges exist is because they vastly slow down the rate of growth of bacteria.
Right.
And so, same with bread. If you leave it at room temperature, bacteria is going to reproduce quickly, just like if you were to leave food out overnight, bacteria would reproduce much more quickly on it there. So we would get it to about 85% of the way there. It doesn't stop it, it just slows it down. So it would slowly overnight creep up to and then we would wake up the next morning and bake it. So we're going to come back to these in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, kind of check on them. And then if we want to bake them tomorrow morning, then we'll put them in the fridge. And then if we want to bake them at some point, then we'll wait another like half hour, 45 minutes. And then we'll bake them in the oven.
Cool. So I have to get the pan out of the counter or out of the cabinet, and Eric's gonna be mad about it. Let's go.
Oh God, Katie.
Can that one go in the oven?
Get it off of the counter and we'll figure it out. Jesus Christ.
Nailed it!
It's not funny.
Eric gets mad when I take risks. Why are you putting the...
So I want them hot. I want them to be hot. They're not hot. I want them hot. Oh, hey! I'm just putting this on top of this so we have like a nice surface to work. So what we're going to do is... What are we doing? So what we're going to do is we're going to take these things out of here, which are now super fucking hot, which is great. I've never actually done this method before. We need to be able to drop our dough. Let's get our fucking...
Okay. Yeah.
That's pretty fun. So what we're...
I forgot my apron.
Okay. So the idea is we need to drop these once directly in the center of the thing. And that's hard. We're going to drop them onto parchment paper first and then lower them into...
That's way more boring.
Yeah, it's way more boring. But also those are ceramic bowls and you need to kind of like slap them down. So here's we're going to do one at a time. Take our schmint.
Wow. That was you did a very bad job,
I
Eric.
just didn't want to go get the scissors.
They're right there. Ruth would be very upset at you for wasting all of it.
Ruth from Victorian Tudor Monastery Farm. Ruth is the greatest person.
Ruth, come be on our podcast. Oh my god, do you think we could have Ruth on our podcast?
Oh my god.
So,
Okay.
the plan. So you're putting the dough down here first?
Yes, we're going to turn it and plop it on there
we
first.
should get a better shot.
Okay.
Ready?
Nope. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go. Oh no. That's not so good.
Oh god. That's
fine. Okay. Ooh.
nice and hot as fuck.
That's it? You just put it in there like that?
Yeah, pretty much. The lid, this is water, and I'm just gonna pour some lava in here so that it's nice and steamy deemy.
Where are you pouring the water? Like onto the bread?
No. I mean, it's gonna get on the bread a little bit, but what are you gonna do, you know?
What are you gonna do? Okay.
So I can hear that it's making steam in there, which is great.
Careful.
And we're going back
Into the
in.
oven it goes. Get the shitty one.
I gotta say, I do not have high hopes. I do not have high hopes for this bread at all. But
Why not? What do you think went wrong?
I think the gluten's underdeveloped. I think we could have given it a couple more turns. You're gonna nail this, Katie.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Hey! All right, now we're gonna do what I forgot to do with the other one,
Okay.
which is score it.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So you're
Do you
gonna
want
take.
to use that, or do you want to use a flat knife?
Let's use a flat knife actually.
Okay. I did 2.5.
Wonderful. All right, now
Okay.
try not to touch the sides and burn yourself, and I'll try to keep you in a frame.
Ready?
Yep. Woo! Holy shit.
Now, how long do we cook them?
I'm gonna wait 20 minutes,
Okay.
and then we're gonna take the lids off.
How are you feeling?
I'm nervous.
Why?
I'm a nervous person. Well, so this is a big moment with bread. So we're about to open the lids to release the steam. So we've delayed the crusting. So these are going to be very pale loaves right now. We're going to lift them off and then they're crisp up.
Pale loaves is a really uncomfortable
Isn't it?
combination of words.
So basically now is we're going to see if these are on track or because there's no going back. This is just what it is.
Okay.
So when I open this, I want it basically to be as tall as possible.
Okay. What if it's not tall?
Then we're going to make
Should
this
I get
again.
your reaction or the bread?
We'll do the bread first.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, God damn it.
Two.
Yay! Not bad!
Hey, oh, it looks so pretty.
That's not bad at all.
Look at him.
Yeah, that little pour. That's pretty good. You can't look at it's nice and tall. Let's
It's a
check
tool
out.
boy.
let's
Oh
check out-
God, good luck.
Check out this bad boy.
Oh,
Hey,
they
not
smell
bad.
really good. Oh my gosh, Eric.
There's a loaf.
There's a loaf. It's a little
That's not
loafy
bad.
boy. How do you feel?
Pretty good. I'm gonna get him back in because you don't want to change the temperature too much.
Okay.
But so we've just released the steam. So
Okay.
now that they've risen as much, it's a decent amount. We're gonna release that moisture from it, which is going to allow them to caramelize, to create like the crust, and get that nice crunchy.
Maillard reaction, if you will.
Indeed, you can see how it started to happen on the outside,
Uh-huh.
on like the thinner bits.
Oh, my oven is so dirty. Jesus Christ. It's disgusting. Okay.
Oh, hello.
Moment of truth.
Well, we are. So, this is moment of truth number 2. I'm holding up 2 fingers under here. So I'm pulling them out, and this is when it gets a lot less like you just kind of want to see what kind of
Oh,
color you
they're
get.
beautiful.
Look at
Look it.
Isn't that nice? So this other one, I think we're gonna go a little darker. There's still a little bit of So I am gonna pull this one and put it somewhere. And there we go.
I got the hiccups.
You got the hiccups.
It's beautiful.
It's look at that steamy. It sounds hollow. There's some resonance going on.
It's beautiful. Hold on, I'm gonna do some B-roll. Ooh. That's a crusty boy.
Right.
Take that, Ruth Goodman. We did it. Please be our friend.
Ruth, please be our friend.
Please.
I'll help you with laundry, I promise. I'll twist that thing. I'll do that thing. There's a lot of this going on. Anything that requires this motion, I'm game. I'll do it all day long. But I want a Christmas present. And you have to make it by oil lamp. You're supposed to wait until bread is completely room temperature. It shouldn't be warm at all before you cut into it. Because it's giving off steam, because there's moisture in here and it's steaming. But if you cut it open, it's going to start giving off steam from the inside and it'll get dry and crusty.
But I want the bread.
But we want the bread and it's like 12:30 at night. So we're just going to go ahead and cut into this. This one is your loaf. So actually, do you want to cut into it?
You would let me do the honors?
Let's do a little switchy-ditchy
Okay.
here. A little switchy-dip-up-boop-a-doo,
Okay, I would like to dedicate this loaf of bread to Bruce Goodman and all she does for education. Should I cut it from the end or like in the middle?
Right down the center.
Right down the center?
So you're going to just kind of hold it like, there.
Oh, it's so warm though. It feels really good.
Yeah, doesn't it?
My hands are really cold. Okay, ready? I feel like I'm gonna ruin it though if I do it like this.
No, cut it right down the center.
Okay.
Oh, did you hear that? Oh, that's good. Let's get some air. Let's get some little, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. Ready?
Oh, Katie. Oh. Look at that. Oh, boy, howdy me, oh my. That's bread.
That's bread.
Yeah, just hack away. Yeah.
I'm hungry. I was promised steak.
Is this me or does that suck?
It's really bad. Really bad, Eric. Like, I love you, but that is terrible.
Why is that so bad?
Are you supposed to put salt in it?
Yes. Yes, we are. I forgot to put salt in it.
This is awful. This is very bad.
It's so bad.
Oh my God. I just figured like, oh, it's fine. I didn't say anything because I figured like, oh. But it looks beautiful. Look at how good it looks.
Look at how good it looks though, right? Stay tuned for Catie and Erik Make Bread Part 2 with salt. See you next time. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh,
There's no salt in it. I forgot to put salt.